Fnatic. He is such a strong player, and it's so great to see the team develop around him.
And the fear was, coming into this split, that with a brand new roster, he wouldn't be able to perform. But he silenced all of the doubters, he silenced every hater, and he's done nothing but impress. Working with Ignat and Memento, those two seem to have solidified Schalke as a strong early game team, translating into explosive team fights in the mid game.
Yeah, that explosive playstyle is really what I want to highlight. You look at how much Memento and Ignat are actually duoing in the early game. They rotate together a lot of the time to get vision, and you get these team fights near the end of the game. Look at the positioning of Upset. Look at how Ignat facilitates him. It's just so good to see this team having a good early game into an incredible team fight presence.
Okay, now of course there is a reason that we're going pretty in-depth here on Schalke, and we will do the same for Splyce in a moment or two. And the reason I want to say this is it fair to say if we step back and we look at Schalke as a whole, their play style is of decisiveness, proactiveness, explosiveness. If you were to give a stylistic brush over the team, Vedius.
Yeah, I think that's a very accurate portrayal, and it's very much about strong early game into fantastic team fights, and that is really where Upset seems to shine. And you can't forget about the two players we haven't mentioned, the solo laners, Abadag and Odo. Odo seems to be performing the best I've ever seen him for a long time in his lane, and Abadag is just solid. Every game he does what he needs to, so they have all the pieces to create this fantastic, explosive mid-game team fighting style.
Talking to Odo backstage, there's a hunger or a drive there, a fire in his eyes that I haven't seen in a little bit. They've got a big task to get ahead of them because they're taking on Splyce. Now, Schalke are known for this explosive play style. That's never really been true for Splyce, maybe ever, right? This is a team that has been known to be steady, reliable, consistent. Last week, they did have a faster pace win. They did have a slightly more explosive one. But Vedius, let's talk about the diversity in what Splyce has shown us and maybe how it's going to contrast to Schalke.
The thing about Splyce is, over the years, they kind of evolved in how they play, but in 2018, what they really solidified was late game scaling into strong team fighting. While they got a little bit better towards the second half of the split, it was still very much about those team fights and a controlled, calculated playstyle. They cared very much about playing smart League of Legends, and I feel like we're seeing a very similar approach this split, but the difference is their rate of growth is so much faster. And already in week 2, we saw them elevate their game times, we saw them being more active in the early game, and I just feel like that they're keeping that controlled, calm playstyle while just being a little bit more decisive and action-focused in the early game.
Watching Splyce, it always feels like they're playing chess. Like everyone else might be playing checkers, they're going for these aggressive, like massive, explosive playstyles. Splyce always know exactly what their next move is, but then they know 3 more moves after that. I think what they've done by showing up that early game is change themselves from a stepping stone for the great teams into a team that can contend at the top of the table.
I love this because you do have this control on one side and this explosiveness on the other, and we'll need to see who's going to get an advantage. So that's going to be the clash of styles as far as the teams are concerned. But if we focus a little bit more into the bot lanes, we're also going to see 2 of the best bot lanes in Europe as Mr. Splyce takes on Mr. Schalke. And it's going to be interesting because, of course, Kobe and Upset, the 2 franchise players for the team, got the supporting staff next to them, but it's 2 of the bot lanes that are quite honestly in contest or in the discussion for best performing thus far.
I've been really impressed with what I've seen from them, largely due to the introduction of their new supports. I think Ignat has really shored up the laning phase of Upset, and they've been kind of finding a lot more success, but Upset is evolving too. We saw a great interview earlier today from Ignat saying how he likes to roam a lot more around the map, whereas Upset is a lot more lane focused, so they're both evolving as players. I think that's contributing a lot to how they're getting better as a duo.
Medic, I know you're a support main, right? I know that you play the game significantly better than I do, so I'm going to put you on the spot. Touche. Which bot lane is going to come out superior today and why?
I think you have to go with the Schalke bot lane. Like Upset and Ignat in their game against Fnatic last week really showed me some strong laning phase mechanics and just strong laning phase play alongside having those good team fights. Splyce, on the other hand, their laning phase isn't about winning by killing their opponents. They're much more about just winning by getting small advantages, and I don't think that's going to work against Upset and Ignat.
The teams are almost ready, so I need a final prediction on which team is going to win. Controlled Splyce or explosive Schalke? Vedius.
I think Schalke's going to take this win, largely because StatsBot didn't predict it, but also because
analysis, but it does make for good entertainment.
But I also think that just pound for pound, Schalke seem to have showcased stronger laning phase and stronger team fighting, and I think that the biggest determining factor will be between Memento and Xerxes as to who will be able to get the win in this game.
Same question.
I think you have to go for Schalke as well. I think the jungle point is very important. Memento so strong in the early game in the way he teams up with Ignar. And I worry for Splyce, if they go for a scaling composition, they're going to get blown away in the early game.
Well, the question is whether or not Splyce can handle Schalke's explosive power. If they can, that's how Splyce can take this game. My analysts think Schalke's going to take it, and Splyce and Schalke are those two new top of the table teams. They're looking to make a statement win tonight. Let's see who pulls it off.
Thank you very much, Quick Shot, but I'm not sure if I care what the analysts think. StatsBot definitely reigning out supreme. So in my eyes, pretty 50-50 who's going to come out on top. Frostcurrent, they talked about every part of the map. They've given us a breakdown of what to expect, how it's going to go. What are you most interested in?
I'm most interested in the vision, actually, which is always going to be the boring answer. It was funny.
I like the wards. Okay,
I like the wards.
Right. A bit of a mix-up. Okay.
It was funny when we sat down for our stats breakout and we're like kind of going over the numbers, figuring out, you know, what cool stats can we talk about. I was like, check me the vision stats.
I was like, how many people do they kill? You're like, I'm not interested.
How many wards do they kill? And the surprise factor is that these two teams have some of the highest vision stats, 1 and 2 in our entire league. They are a very smart macro team, both of them. And I know we give Splyce kind of that moniker of being the chess team, as Medic just put it, but Schalke are no slouches, and part of why their team fighting is so good is because of their vision control. So I cannot wait. Hopefully this game goes longer than the first one to see some of the Baron setups and defenses from both these squads.
I'm ready to find out. It's good that you point that out, too, because I think the chess team always feels apt for Splyce, and we heard from Duke that that's kind of what they're going for. They want to be the smart macro team, and something that all European teams, I think, used to shoot for in the past, maybe outside of the Unicorns of Love. Now it feels like it's a lot more split between the teams that want to play the perfect, clean, macro style, and the teams that want to push to their individual mechanical limits. Teams like G2, where they say, you know, we're just going to try to out-click you, out-micro you, rather than out-macro you. And we're going to see what kind of team Schalke wants to be today, because they've shown us a little bit of both. They've out-macroed, they've definitely out-microed. It's going to be interesting to see which form shows up against Splyce.
What I love is the bridge of Schalke's power, the fact that you have, you know, the Ignar Memento buddy system, where these support and jungle really love to roam together and how they impact the map. And then it feels like, okay, it's team fight time. It's time for Odo and Abadage to take over. Odo's so good at finding these flanks. Abadage, a big Lissandra player, so good at initiating. And then it sets it up for this guy on your screen, Upset, where all he needs to do is just be that fantastic mechanical ADC. Probably the best team fighting ADC that I think I've ever seen. I watch a lot of ADCs in the LPL. I've always been so impressed with Upset's positioning and how he min-maxes his damages in those team fights.
I like that you're coming here with the best ever. I feel like we've done a good job of converting you to the EU welcome. You've seen the light.
A lot of 80 carries, and Upset is the real deal. I think watching him in team fights is probably one of the most entertaining things.
And that's really scary for Splyce, because in the past, their big rock was the man in the bottom lane, was Kami. Was this guy that you could rely on in these late game fights, and now we get to see, are Splyce going to be that good late game team fighting team, or are they just going to have to use better scaling champions to reign supreme, if they even want to play for that late game? Will we see the early game Splyce? We are moments away from pick ban, though, and now we get to see what the priority is going to be. I feel like we have to see a Lissandra ban here. Abadage is just too good at it.
What's strange, too, is there's so much priority given to Abadage early on into the draft, and I'm really curious if that means that they're hiding his champion pool or that he has a limited champion pool. I'm emphasizing more on the idea that they're hiding it simply because I've heard great things about Abadage and Humanoid. People seem to be really behind how explosive and hyped these guys are coming in as rookie mid laners. So he doesn't get the Lissandra this time around. It's time to show something else.
Cannot wait to find out. Keep you guys updated. We have had the Lissandra, Akali, and now also a Lucian banned on the side of SK. Opposite side, it is going to be the Cassio and the Karthus. And I'm ready to see where the first pick is going to be. Origen will be the final ban. We take you through the pick and ban phase. I'll keep you guys verbally updated.
It's your job.
Yeah. So this is great, because you guys are at home, and I can be like, they picked no, Graphic, you're going to ruin this for me, because I can just say that they picked Teemo. They picked Aatrox. No surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
Getting a Humanoid is cool, because this guy has been such a force to be reckoned with when he is on this Aatrox pick, and I feel like that ultimate just unleashes him to play even more aggressive.
And for me, Humanoid is really the X factor for Splyce. You know, we don't know what the ceiling of this guy is. We hear that he's very confident, maybe even borderline onto the cockiness, so he's not afraid to step forward. We've seen him grab picks like the Aatrox before, have incredible games, and so he's the guy who I want Splyce to really put their resource into. We know that Kaveh is a very solid laner. Give it to Humanoid, let him be that next thing that takes them to the top of the contenders.
I'm ready to see already Upset's Ezreal locked in, though. So we've got two very strong individual picks for the respective players. What is the final pick going to be here in the first rotation from Schalke?
Something that did manage to slip through the ban phase, I don't think it's going to be the pickup here, is Ignar's Thresh. His most played champion so far. I think it's been only banned away from him once, and I think he then turned towards the Morgana. Works very well with his roam style, and also a lot of that safety that him and Upset like to have in the lane phase.
And now Rise locked in though, and this excites me because I think I want to see where exactly this is going to go. Odoame's been playing a lot more of these carries in the top lane. Maybe we do see a Rise go up there, but Abbedagge in the mid lane, I was excited to see how he would fill the shoes of Nukeduck, and being a great Lissandra player and a great Rise player is an easy way to fill those shoes.
And it also does very similar things as the Lissandra. You know, it's able to clear out the wave very safely, has so much roam potential with the ultimate, and then can be such a force in those late game team fights, especially how we play around Baron. So I hope that the Rise goes into Abbedagge's hands because I think it fits right in his playstyle.
And I actually love the sheer amount of comfort picks coming in. Now, the Rise I want to see in Abbedagge, I haven't seen as much of, but the Braum coming in from Norskeren last year, we're like, easy win. Norskeren on Braum, going to be good. Xerxes with Sejuani as well, a tank jungler, very much fits his style. And I want to see if Schalke follows suit and just continue to go for these more comfortable picks. The Olaf, though, I personally always have mixed feelings, because this champion looks so good when it looks good, and when it doesn't do anything in the early game, it looks so useless.
Well, when you see all of the CC coming out of simply 2 picks of Splyce, the Sejuani and the Braum, it's a really easy grab to look towards the Olaf because it doesn't mean anything more. That zone control that you have with those 2 picks, Memento doesn't care. And he also has so much pressure then on his lanes, particularly the bottom one. Again, in the LPL, anytime you see Olaf locked in, we're camping bot, boys.
Honestly, if you want to camp for Upset's Ezreal, I'd call that a good decision. The Vayne and the Kai'Sa now banned, so they do not want to get outscaled here. They do not want to deal with some of these excellent duelists.
There's that Thresh.
And the Thresh. I love how specifically targeted this draft phase feels. So often it just feels like generic meta power. And there is definitely some meta power in here, but it also just feels like every player is getting these comfort picks, or the other team is denying them away so cleanly. The Jace taken off the board here was hovered earlier in the champion select.
Odo, one of the big guys that pulled out the Kennen, so not afraid to go for more of these range-style champions, so I feel like the Jace is specifically targeted at him.
What is the option going to be now on the side of Schalke? They're taking away the Thresh. Definitely an amazing pick in the hands of Ignar. We saw how well Upset and Ignar played together against Reckless in lane.
I mean, the safe option is to grab your support here, so you can still hold that Rise as a flex pick and confuse people, or you just double down and grab another flex. Gragas seems to do that just fine.
Gragas, I think we might see go into the support role in the hands of Ignar. Can go in a lot of different places, though. Obviously, one of those champions, this kit is just so universally good in a wide variety of situations. Splyce going to opt to go for. And I'm just curious.
That
Ornn.
would be...
G2 was on stage, we might think so.
So Ornn has had some changes. He's been showing up globally, mostly in the support position. His items and his passive are just a bit easier to use. They actually have more bang for their buck. Feels a lot nicer to have an Ornn there.
Ooh, and the Varus rounding out the composition. Picking to win the lane, not picking to scale. Obviously can be an incredible team fighter if you get that Rage Blade stacked up, but not a champion we see nearly as much of. Feels much more about just getting that push down early.
But the thing is that with this composition that Splyce have assembled, this isn't a comp that's about high mobility and making those chess moves across the map, you know, beating your opponents to a lane and having a pressure advantage. This is a full team fight composition. You got the Ornn Horn, you got the Sejuani ultimate, you have the Braum, you have the Varus. This is them trying to go toe-to-toe with Schalke and saying, okay, you're a great team fighting team. We've now drafted to match you there.
But talking about the Schalke draft then, if we are looking at Splyce to have all the components they need to pull off these incredible team fights, what are we looking for on the opposite side for Schalke? Are they also looking for it? I mean, they have the LeBlanc now, they have the Ride. Are we looking at the Schalke 1-3-1 to combat the Splyce team fight? That feels like a big mix-up.
I don't think you have to go for the 1-3-1. It's going to be an option pending if Schalke's Rise and LeBlanc really get off and have that springboard and the advantage in the lane assignments. But I look at that composition, I'm like, Ezreal, LeBlanc, Gragas, Olaf. If they walk up to a tower, you're just going to get blown up off of it. The poke damage, the threat of the cast is massive from Schalke. If this composition gets ahead, it is so easy to siege with.
And snowballing has been the name of the game. Even on 9.2, we saw in our first game that once a team gets a lead, very easy to close it. So the Baron nerfs maybe not working quite as well as expected. We will find out, though. One game, not enough of the sample size to be sure. So get ready for our second game here.
I like the fact that the Rise got flexed up into the top side. It feels like when you're looking across from the Ornn, he's like, okay, this lane phase, Ornn's just going to sit there and farm. It's a free farm lane for me, so I can get a pass to get to that late game scaling Rise. does mean that you lose a little bit of your utility in terms of flexing towards the side lanes by using your ultimate, but we'll see if Odo gets involved with his teleport.
And Odo on carry, something we did not get to see a lot on Splyce last split. Odo versus Vizicachi. Feels like very much. We saw Splyce earlier today talking a little smack about the former top laner over their own team. We'll see if they can back it up today. Oscar, the fans are ready. Are you ready? Splyce, Schalke.
Feels like alongside Team Vitality, these are the two teams that are competing for that third place position in the LEC. So sitting at the big kids table, and who's going to be an actual contender this split.
In this game, of course, big difference maker, going toe-to-toe with an opponent you expect to face in that playoffs race, even this early, given the strength of the relative strength of the teams. Pretty significant. Owning the head-to-head, putting them down below, and Splyce, I think, a much less changes to the roster overall. Feels like Rose, this shot line has been rebuilt and has looked strong right off the bat. But important to look across the board at some of these rhythm choices.
Yeah, just taking note that it's two spellbooks on the side of Splyce. Pretty standard, an option that Braum can also move into, and of course Warren usually takes the spellbook, but we'll see how this impacts on the teleport play. So a play that Splyce really like to run from their playbook is that if the bot lane is ever going sideways, they'll be one of the first teams to pull the trigger and TP or make the play topside to force a tower and take Rift Herald control. When you have spellbook on Norscarin and the Kabe with the Varus also with TP, watch for that option around the 11 to 15 minute mark for Splyce.
And of course, no spellbook in the hands of Ignar, no TP in the hands of Upset, so not an option to follow. Schalke, see how they combat that option if it comes to a Memento. Look at the leash to the start. Oh, of course, incredible individual clear speed versus 20. We'll get a small leash here from the bottom lane. Willing to give up a little bit on the level 1 and allow Schalke to push forward.
It's always going to be a question of where these junglers are going to attack first. I like the fact that Memento started topside on that. Does give him the option to path offside clear on his jungle and get an early gank there. And I just love Memento with Ignar. Anytime these guys pair up, I think they're just such a devastating combo. Whether they're roaming and securing vision or Memento at his lead of his lane, that's what I want to see for Schalke, and that's what Schalke fans should want to see. Those two in the early game working together.
And we've heard Ignar kind of talking about why he likes this LEC environment, where he's allowed to speak his mind, where he's allowed to be, I think, a little bit more proactive, more vocal about what he wants to do. And we see that show through on stage in a lot of these aggressive plays. Level 2's coming from the bot lane. This is where we kind of wait for to start to see Bars pushing back a little bit into his Ezreal. But doing a good job of mitigating that so far.
Yeah, and Norscarin versus Ignar, both huge playmaking supports on massive playmaking champions. Of course, I feel like the edge is given to Norscarin that has the Braum into both Gragas and Ezreal. Does have a little bit of outplay potential, really dissuades Ezreal thinks with his powers unbreakable, can interact a lot with that skill shots, either the ultimate as well as the mystic shot. So a lot of responsibility on Norscarin because he can really take the wind out of Schalke's sails with this composition.
Absolutely can, but now as we check in on the map, Frosco, we can see top side of the map, Xerxes ready and pretty well set up to gank top lane. Luckily, there's a bit of vision to stop it, but Memento has snuck his way into the bottom side here. Clears the top side.
What I said about Olaf, it's really easy for him to gank bottom because of the line that you can take in, and you just walk out with the axe. Chunk him once with the belly bop from Gragas, huge damage.
Obviously in flash, but they do not have the level advantage here. How many more creeps is the question before they get that level 3. They're going to step forward, upset, maybe revealing their hand. Here comes the Predator, copy now on trouble. The 5-4, the bicep, an instant flash out. Excellent pullback here. Norscarin blocks any follow-up, but they deny the gank immediately. Do sacrifice Copy's flash, though.
And it feels like both teams will feel pretty good about that initial gank. Copy's like, yes, I blew my flash, but they used 2 summoners as opposed to my 1, where Schalke are like, yes, he blew his flash, let's do it again.
Now we have to wait to see that repeat. Creative pathing coming in. Seriously, we'll get spotted out. Odo immediately knows it's time to go. He says, hey, long time no see. We used to play together.
Good use of the zombie ward.
And we've talked to so many top laners about this before, but being safe on red side top lane feels nearly impossible. And Origen not respecting a repeat gank. He's already blown his flash. It looks like he might just go down here in an instant 3 stacks 4. That's to stun up the aftershock damage comes in. Origen goes down. First blood. He was too keen to give his old teammate a hug. That's what that looked like to me.
Yeah, that's a feels bad moment. Maybe a little bit of mind games, I guess. He saw, knew that it was there, but he saw the back, figured, he's gone by now. He's not still in that bush. Overgrades, immediately punished. And I love the fact that Chachi just flashed. She's like, you burned your flash, time to die.
And Vizicachi is not a man who was ever scared, regardless of the match that he's picked into here. We take one more look at it.
So, does dodge the initial damage, yeah, but not the displacement from Orb, but the fact that Xerxes was still around. Bad luck. That's what
You can call it bad luck, that's fine. It wasn't lucky. There is a world where Xerxes didn't have to stay top, but in that world, Odoamne is not 0-1-0. Luckily, he still has a bit of a CS lead, does not able to get the catalyst or the tier, though, on the first back, which is pretty big.
Yeah, that's the big thing. And it's the fact that he had to use his TP on that back time to make sure he didn't just lose everything in that lane as the wave was also pushing in, which makes that back much harder. So the tier, a little bit slower, delays the rise. We'll see if he can get over this hiccup, but it never feels good.
So now moving, we get spotted on Vision, trying to cover for Odo. We'll go pause. Keep you guys updated on what exactly is happening. But an interesting early game for sure. Already seeing Xerxes with a successful gank. Definitely not what Schalke wanted to deal with. Getting top lane stone one through Vizicachi. Every time Vizicachi is in control, I feel like this guy is just such a monster.
I mean, anytime that Orb gets ahead, it just feels that much better because, again, Orb is certainly going to need anything to be an effective champion with all the utility on his kit. It is nice to see Splyce paying attention to the top side. I feel like Odo's really been ignored. Everyone's talking about Abadaga this, Memento that, Ignore upset. It's all amazing, which that's the nice thing about this Schalke roster. But Odo has been so good in so many of these team fights, and so when he is ahead, it makes Schalke that much more impressive.
And Rise, of course, it's not the cannon, right? It's not this AP cannon, it's not this huge, big one-moment flank to turn the fight. It has that incredible scaling for the late game, but putting it behind early on just feels like it can't be a death sentence for a lot of these early to mid-game competitions.
And we did talk about how I felt that the Rise were really well in Abadage's hands because it fits with a lot of the tools that he's showcased on that Lissandra, but in Odo's hands, I still love it because Odo's still been such a master of flanking, and Rise still gives your team so many opportunities to do that, and that's what I'm so impressed with Schalke. Like, watching them, I would love to listen to their comms because they look so clean and that they're all on the same page, and you wouldn't expect that without looking at this roster.
No, you would not. As an update on the pause, we are now back into game. It was just an issue with stage lines. A little bit too much light in their eyes. We adjusted it for Schalke, and we are now back in. That's why Odo did stay.
He was blinded, just didn't see him.
Just didn't see him. That's my theory. That's not the information that came through. But as we look at this game, one thing that you told me to look out for was that if the Schalke composition gets ahead, they just run through this game. What happens if the Splyce composition gets ahead, Frostburn? What happens then?
They can run through, but they do it in very different ways, and it's forcing team fights as opposed to just being able to walk up to the towers. Because most of their champions are short range, save for the Varus, it's still difficult to siege unless you win a team fight on top of it. Good news is, it's something like an Infernal Drake, so if Splyce do feel confident once their team's ready to group up, they can be quite devastating around it.
Oh, Memento's here, but it might be too little too late. There's the Horn, blows it out, and now Odoamne's caught in no man's land. He might need to back off here, but Memento here as well throws down the challenging smite and looks for a little bit more damage. Well-timed counter gank to stop Odoamne from dying there.
And good heads up from Memento to realize, okay, my top laner, he's in a bit of a hard situation, had to burn the teleport early on, didn't get the back that he wanted, so I just need to hover around the lane, make sure he's got some safe vision so he can push up, get that CS, not be denied, because he's also missing his flash. So I do like the shift from Schalke to say, bot line's probably fine, let's make sure that Odo's okay.
That's definitely fine. Doing even and starting to pull ahead a little bit in CS. Sheen, obviously, much more ideal buy for this early wave pressure than a Vampiric Scepter. We'll see what first items look like as we come through, but feels like Xerxes Vizicachi maybe overplayed their hand a little bit there. Giving up the flash from Xerxes could be huge as level 6s are going to start coming in shortly. 7 minutes. Last game, I believe it was 7:15. Frostburn that we saw the level 6s on patch 9.2. We'll see if these guys are able to match pace.
And I was curious how this would affect teams that are really reliant on their junglers. Again, if you're a team that's built around your jungler, like, let's say SK, who really rely on self-made, your jungler not having as much experience can slow down the team. Teams that are really reliant on the mid laners, let's say someone like Caps, will probably be just fine because the laners are still just in the powerful.
And now, as we check, level 6 is still going to come in for Xerxes, but Memento has picked up his. Xerxes, it's been interesting. Splyce hasn't always relied on him. There's been a few games where he's been the defining moment of the team. There are other times where it's been the macro plays and the double TP play option that Splyce have used to get ahead. Now that option not quite available as Xerxes does currently have the healing Ignite using the spellbook. But maybe we see them shift for that. They're managing to get any of these hits.
With that heal and Ignite, it just incentivizes Xerxes to pay attention to the bottom lane. He now has his ultimate backup and available for him. He could slip in behind this and then just try to force the play, knowing that they have the summoner advantage.
Eyes on Copy to fire his ultimate out. There's a ward in the bush, though. They're going to see Xerxes coming in. They know they've been spotted out. They could look for the rinse and repeat, though. Waiting around worked really well for Xerxes last time. That's all I'm going to say.
They also just want to make sure that if they are just shoving in this lane, that they find a good window to do it, where they don't just trade the Infernal Drake for free.
This is going to be important. Xerxes now trying to cover the mid lane, though. Cross around this is LeBlanc. kind of having a field day against Aatrox. I feel like it's pretty hard to land the Darkened Blade against such a mobile champion. A bit of CC, though, would definitely stop that in its tracks. Abadage remaining, though, at full health as Aatrox kind of just desperate to heal something back.
Probably still feeling really good that he's got his underneath him. Maybe Xerxes pulls his own Yankos over that wall.
Fly in, deny a play. Now we've got a pause on the outside. Looks like it's coming from Kabi. Maybe he also needs the stage lights adjusted.
Some mood lighting.
Mood lighting. Yeah, he's chilling. He's chilling in the bottom. Item check-in. Crossburn is where to pause. So visualize with me, people. I don't have a graphic for you, but I can verbally describe.
We can draw one.
I can hand draw on the screen. I don't think we should do that, though. But it feels like Vizichachi's in that ideal comfort point. Yes, he's losing in CS, but he's also so close to the Abyssal Mask that Origen doesn't seem like he has a lot of kill pressure at this point. This man still has not been able to back, still has not started a tier. About 9 minutes into the game. Definitely not ideal for Rise. It's going to take a long time to stack up.
Yeah, but again, it's this idea that it's Ornn versus Rise. And I think from Schalke's perspective, they were thinking, okay, it's just going to be back and forth with the wave, a little bit of tug of war, and then we're just going to scale it for free. I'm sure Splyce probably in that similar boat. It's Rise versus Ornn. We'll just sit there, get the games, because we have hard CC between Sejuani and myself. Maybe we kill him. Otherwise, see you at the team fights, guys.
I like the Ignite Vizichachi. Yeah, it was so